I am here with a dear friend and colleague, Linda Searles of Southwest Wildlife. Linda and I have worked together on numerous cases over the years alongside Arizona Fish and Game and U.S. Fish and Wildlife on cases everything from servals to tigers to lions to bobcats. And so Linda was here for the call when Indy came in. We're so thankful that Southwest Wildlife was here because services like this are needed, and without Southwest Wildlife we don't know what would have happened to Indy. Linda, just tell us a little bit of how that day went when you received the call about her.
Well, I received a call saying that there may be a tiger that needs help. These agencies are not prepared. They don't have tiger facilities. So they called us to see if we could help in this, both U.S. Fish and Wildlife and Phoenix PD. And so I met them downtown, waited for them to get Indy, and once they did, they brought her to me and I brought her back to Southwest Wildlife, where she was assessed by the veterinarian, and we started her on a good nutritious diet and giving her all the things that she needed, like more space and toys and enrichment. And then I reached out to the Wildcat Sanctuary to see if they had any room for her, because they knew that would be the very best place. She, as much as we would love her to stay with us forever, it's not the best thing for her. She needs to be where she can have a larger enclosure and be with other tigers. So that's the route we went. That's the best for her.
We're so thankful you did reach out to us, and I know you've experienced, even though at the end of this I want to hear a little bit more at Southwest so our donors can hear, but you know, being focused on native species and rehab, you and I have crossed paths a lot over the years because of exotics that you take in. So tell me a little bit about some of a story that in the past, without giving too many details, of, you know, some of those tiger cubs, servals, or things like that that came in that needed a lot of assistance and medical care.
Gosh, we've had so many. We've had a lot of servals come in. Even one left in a crate at our front gate. So it's servals. We had one monkey, a lot of different exotic species pets, but the biggest one is the cats. We've had 4 tigers come through here over the years, and most always they're in bad physical condition nutritionally, and some even shut down because of the way they were handled or cared for prior to. So we always do everything we can to rectify that and get them back into a good spirit and good health, and then send them on to the appropriate facility.
And that's what I love, is Linda always, and her team does what's best for the animals. You've called and reached out at, you know, on cases, and you know, Fiona was one of a serval that was placed with us and was found at large. And the one nice thing is when we get animals from Southwest Wildlife, what I respect so much is that they do all the medical work. Everything that we would do, they do as well, and even give us full, I mean, we get healthy animals from you, and you'll keep them as long as you need to make sure that they're healthy enough for travel. I remember we did that with Fiona the serval. She needed some recuperating time, and so there was no rush on us getting her to the Wildcat Sanctuary because you guys opened your hearts and arms to her. And then, so people might not know, Rio, if you guys know Rio the serval, was 20 years ago, I think, one of our first cases of a privately owned serval you sent our way. And then you do rehab, and sometimes you have non-releasable wildlife. And we have Sky, Celine, Belvedere, and Francis. And kind of talk to people, use this, let me give you a soapbox to talk a little bit about why wildlife needs to stay wild.
Definitely, wildlife needs to stay wild. In most cases, like mountain lions that come in that were former pets have been declawed, and the nutrition has been very poor, so they have metabolic bone disease. And we are really a medical facility, so we're very fortunate. We have a lot of specialty doctors that will jump in and help us, so we're very blessed with that. But it's tragic that people want to have wild in their home, but they don't know how to care for wild, and it's not an appropriate place for a wild animal. They need free roaming. They need to be in the wild, first of all. But when they've been bred in captivity, we can't do that. When they have been in a situation where they've been, purchased from a breeder or taken out of the wild and raised in a home, they can't go back to the wild, which is very sad. So we want them to be in a situation where for the rest of their life, they'll be well cared for and they will have large enclosures, space, and all of their needs will be met as far as enrichment, because they're smart animals. They can't just sit in the cage, but we want them to have lots of enrichment, so their minds are going and they're thinking and they're enjoying life and having fun.
Well, it's awesome. I know Elise, our caretakers, had a great time talking to Katie and seeing the mountain lions here, because that's Elise's favorite. And you guys have had the same struggles with us as when we have unreleasable wildlife. There's a lot of conditioning to make sure that they can accept a life in captivity and have a quality of life. Very different than captive animals. So for our supporters, stay tuned, because we're going to load Indy and you're going to have a live post with that. But first I want Linda to tell you a little bit about Southwest Wildlife Mission. That's a little different than ours, which is captive wildlife. You do a lot to help native wildlife here in Arizona.
Yes, we do. We take in orphaned and injured wildlife from around the state and sometimes outside of Arizona. We rehabilitate them and then we return them to the wild. Like currently we have, just our baby season has just started. And so right now we've got about 10 to 12 coyote puppies. We've got a lot of raccoons, baby bobcats. So this is our busiest time of year, and it's only going to get busier. in day by day, we'll get more and more in. And those that can't be rehabilitated because somebody has had them as a pet, so they're too socialized or they have an injury that would prohibit them from surviving in the wild, we give them sanctuary for the rest of their life. But our biggest goal is to get them healthy, well, and back out there in the wild.
I love seeing your spicy little bobcat kittens. When bobcats hate us, that makes them good candidates for going back out to the wild.
Well, and one of the things we do is we have foster parents. And so we get orphan coyote puppies in. Once they are eating on their own, they go into a pen with foster coyotes. Same with bobcats. They go into a pen with foster bobcats. And so they're raised by their own kind. The only time we have any interaction with them is when they're still on a bottle. And once we get them off the bottle and eating solid, they go out and they're raised by their own species. And then that way they stay wild and they learn the behaviors that they need to survive in the wild when they're released.
Well, awesome, Linda. Thank you for calling us in Indy, and thank you guys for the amazing work you do for so many animals.
Well, thank you for your amazing work.
Thanks. Well, stay tuned, everyone. Indy's on her final leg home for the journey, so I know, how is that today? Is that a little bittersweet for everybody here?
There's been a lot of tears shed. A lot of tears shed. We're going to send the primary keeper back to Minnesota to help with the transition.
So, for both people
and
animals.
For both Katie.
Yeah, we understand how quickly you fall in love with an animal you've cared for, and what I love is it's been appropriate. You guys respect her for being a tiger, and we're
Absolutely.
just thankful that everybody can follow her journey now and as she grows up at the Wildcat Sanctuary. Stay tuned.